I'm really prepared, clearly.
Yeah, you can do your search as we start the intro. It'll be exciting.
Okay.
All right, Pearley. After months and months
No.
and
Remember?
scheduling conflicts,
It's time once again for window shopping with Car and Driver. After decades, eons, slogging, trying to find some way to get these people together, we barely are making it today. Here's your host, Tony Quiroga.
welcome to Window Shop with Car and Driver, the occasional show where Car and Driver staff, editors, contributors, and a lone road and track employee gather to search for cars online to meet a challenge. This week's challenge is to find cars with unusual names, and what that can mean is cars that either the name doesn't match up or just a weird name or I guess a misleading name would be another one. We set the budget at $50,000 and we went searching. This week, we're joined by senior editor Elana Scherr, executive editor Casey Colwell, road and track senior editor Mr. John Pearley Huffman, who joins us from his home in Santa Barbara. And Joey Capparella is pinch hitting in the 11th hour for Jonathan Ramsey, who wasn't feeling well. Thanks for joining us, Joey. Joey's our senior editor. Who wants to go first? Pearley, you want to go first?
Sure, I'm going to go first. And I think, it's got to be a bad name. I thought it wasn't just supposed to be just a goofy name, bad name.
Well, did you read the challenge?
Who cares about reading what?
It could be goofy. It could be goofy. I think silly was in the description. It could be a silly name.
Pearley, you having trouble?
Well, there it is.
The Dictator.
Which is, it was perfect because it came out in the night. It started in 27, we're into 37. This was the car that celebrated fascism. The car that really made, and this was coming this is actually, a car that was just at that point in time when Mussolini was rising to power in Italy, and in 33, Hitler came in Germany. I mean, it was really just perfect timing for this car. The theory was that they were, I think the theory was that this was the car that dictates the standards for everybody was the idea. And even though it wasn't, but the thing is, it's kind of a beautiful car. I don't think it's I think
I think the name sort of suits it. It looks sort of dictatorial. It looks like it's large and in charge.
Well, also,
your affection for fascism comes through, Mr. Leader, Editor in Chief.
Car and Driver Dictator Tony Quiroga.
That's right. Tony Quiroga likes it because Tony Quiroga says, I think this rear window is just bitching.
Studebaker's whole lineup at that time was government leadership positions. I mean, they had like a Studebaker president and a Studebaker something else that
commander, didn't they?
Water commissioner.
Commander, yeah. Studebaker Department of Water and Power.
Chairman.
Yeah, but so when we were doing this challenge, I also considered a Studebaker Dictator because it is just it's a weird name, and I was like, oh well, maybe they started in 27, so maybe it wasn't like quite as negative a connotation, but no, it's been a negative connotation since like the 1700s, and it is very telling that 37 was the last year for this name. They did change it.
Yeah. What did it change into, or did they kill the car?
What? They killed the car as fascism was getting a little out of hand in 37.
Became the emperor.
They named after the emperor of Japan because he was doing such a great job. But look at this dash. Isn't that one of the greatest dashes you've ever seen in your life? How Art Deco can you get?
The Speedo's pretty amazing. That's got to be like Bakelite and would make awesome wall art too.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
is that real wood? It's probably real wood.
And the banjo steering wheel and the Bakelite knobs. And look at that claw.
Oh, and the beach towel on the floor. That's nice.
Well, because they don't want to ruin your car. They're like getting in to take photos. They're like keeping the floor clean.
Spoken like the true fascistic leader you are.
The rear window is really cool, Pearley.
It's a power train in this.
Yeah. Look at this door panel too.
Wait, does that rear window open?
Yeah, it does. Is that cool?
That's the flow through ventilation.
That's
yeah,
the
that's amazing.
smoker's
That is the smallest. That is the smallest armrest I've ever seen. Pearly, were people's arms smaller back then?
If you look, you can see in this photo. You can see the window crank for the rear windows.
You know what it was, Tony? Back then, you could rest your arm easily on the top of a open window on the top of the door, so there was really no need to have a big armrest.
Yeah,
let's see the armrest again, Pearly.
Yeah, it's pre AC, so. It's a business coupe, so there's no rear seat at all. But
Casey was wondering, Pearly, if you listen. Casey was wondering about the engine.
It's a 6. It's a 200. I think it's a 218 cubic inch 6, probably maybe 100 horsepower.
Is it an automatic trans?
Oh yeah, there's the 6.
Of course not. Of course not. It's a pretty little engine, and I like the it's just. When I went looking for this car, I didn't know that much about him, but I gotta say is that after reading about it and looking at him, I like the car. It's a neat car. It just has an unfortunate name.
But you could just go up a model and get a Commander and no problem.
With Commander better than Dictator?
Commander comes in.
Dictator should be at the top.
Dictator was actually Dictator was the base model. There were 3. It was
they were making a
Dictator,
political statement.
Commander, and then President. So maybe it was sort of about democracy.
Dictators aren't actually that powerful, according to Studebaker.
Well, they're below a Democratic president.
Yeah,
and it's Commander, not Commandant, Joey. So it's a little better.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next? Elana, want to go next?
Sure. Let's see where we are here. Okay, that is not it. 1 second.
Oh, is that your distraction car? Ooh, swinger. I see the swinger.
Okay. Do you want me to? Should I do the swinger?
I don't know. What do you want to do? Which car? It looks like you got a lot of good stuff. I'm guessing that's a Brat.
There is a Brat. There's. Let's do the swinger. I'll stay on brand, and also it's a cute car. So
that's a beautiful car. That's a 71, isn't it? Yeah.
So we've got a nice look at that stand. Look at that. Look at this. Yeah, I like it when you can see the the curve of the leaf spring underneath the.
That's what you want.
Very prominent.
That's what you want.
Wait, swinger with the trim level.
Wheels.
I also really like all of that trim along the bottom. I mean, do you know how rare it must be to find a car with all that trim intact?
Well, not only
the chrome, like yeah.
Not only is the trim intact, but it's still got the vinyl roof.
Oh,
nice.
These are great photos.
So Swinger was a model part of the Dart?
Yeah.
Trim,
what was different about it?
Huh?
The Dart came as a Swinger 2-door pillarless coupe like this, or as the Demon, which was basically a Duster.
Mm.
And the thing is, I like about it, this car, most of the cars from this era, they've lost their vinyl roofs years ago. This one still has the vinyl roof, which is kind of pretty cool. This is a 318 car?
Looks like it. Let's see.
Is this thing all original?
No, it looks like it was restored to me, but let's find out. Oh.
Yeah, what's the listing say?
See if I can get out of the...
There was a Latin teacher in high school who drove a Dart Swinger.
I feel like most high schools had a teacher who drove a Swinger.
But did it mean swinger as in to swing?
Well,
at the time?
Time out. Tony, do you know what the vehicles that all the teachers drove in your high school?
Pretty much, yeah.
Sorry.
I remember mine too.
Yeah, why not?
Well.
You'd see things in the parking lot.
Yeah, it was very.
You match things up with personalities.
The parking lot were not had anything to do with teachers.
What's that, Casey?
I learned things in the parking lot. Let's just say that. Life skills.
They're giving me like no tech info on this for you guys. I apologize.
I'm assuming 60,420 miles is since restoration.
There's some bullet points down there.
Yeah, but they're
They're
like
not very
general
useful, I
V8
guess.
dual exhaust automatic. I mean, I could have told you that just from looking at the photos.
Traeger SSs, yeah.
But original air conditioning car, so I will say that the term swinger, I believe, was used the way that you're thinking of it in the exact time period that this car was for sale. So I don't know.
Did it have like a different key for like key parties so that you could really select it?
Well, the entire
Like,
swinging thing was.
It
What,
was like
Pearley?
It was like oversized. It was comedically
Yeah,
oversized.
exactly. Kind of sticky.
Gotta grab
It would,
this
grab
one.
your
you
hand.
know how like the Hellcat has the black key and the red key, like it was like that.
The swinger name was this is the moment where like the Playboy lifestyle was actually had some relevance and resonance back then. This is the same point in time where they're doing like the judges at Pontiac, and they're
Well, that
doing
was
a
the
lot
Rowan
of
and Martin sketch with Sammy Davis Jr., right?
Well, right, but it became a Pontiac model. And
Right, but what does that have
was-
to do with the Playboy lifestyle?
Well, the entire thing is that the swinging was considered a hip and happening thing.
I wish I
in the late
could do the Sammy Davis Jr. impersonation right now.
Well, the
No
thing
thanks.
is that I'm just realizing that I'm the only one here who old enough to remember the late 1960s.
Well, I mean, I guess a real question to me though would be like, if you imagine Dodge's lineup in 1970, 1971, is the person that you would want to have as your third driving up in a Dart?
Or fourth.
Fifth?
Elana, as a Mopar person, would you rather have a swinger or a scamp?
I mean, I'd rather have a Scamp because I like the Valiant better than I like the Dart. In that.
Do you think raised white letters will ever make a
Right.
comeback?
Oh, I hope so.
Yes.
Well, they almost did though. Like, do you remember like 2 years ago, 3 years
People are
ago?
like painting them on, right?
But they were getting those stick-on. They were like stick-on rubber, and then they were like spelling out like their own stuff. Anyway, yeah. So there you go, Dart. Sorry, that wasn't my original choice, so I feel unprepared. But it is a good car, and it is a weird name.
What are your other choices?
I mean, I don't want to show them because it might ruin somebody else's choices if they like match up. So we can show them at the end.
Wait. Okay.
I think she's got a Probe and the Brat, right?
Probe is good. Oh,
Probe is fantastic.
Did nobody pick Probe? I was worried. I thought it was going to be just 5 probes.
my mind. When I was
Seriously,
like,
nobody else picked Probe. I should have showed you Probe. I didn't do it because I was sure that there were more probes in this setup.
when I was like 14, I said something about wanting a Probe, and my mom was like, "You will never own a car named Probe."
It is an awful name, but this is a really nice one.
Which one did? Oh,
Whoa.
that is really nice. It's not
I
the
love
G,
those
no,
wheels.
it's the LX with the
Tony knows my friend Chad. Chad had one that only one headlight would pop up. So
It has that 1990s Ford clear coat peel that like every car has.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
Oh,
Was it-
system's normal.
wait,
Wow.
22,000 miles?
Yeah, it's a nice one.
Look at the interior.
Wasn't the V6 a late add to this in the production run? Wasn't it originally only available as a 4 and a turbo 4?
Past
Yeah.
smog.
I don't know, Pearly. I think, I mean,
That
1990
was
was
the
the second,
first. Weren't
third
there
model
two
year.
generations?
They came out in 88.
There
So
were
maybe,
two generations. I think.
Initially, it was just 4 and turbo 4. And then the V6 replaced the turbo as the kind of.
That's like a
No,
reverse
Casey.
of what happens now.
The GT always had a turbo
No, GT eventually was a 6.
in the second generation, not this first
Yeah,
generation.
there was a V6 in the first generation.
I had no
I know,
idea
that is the
designs
first
were
gen.
probe
Yeah. And then the second generation also had a V6.
Right. The second generation
I
GT
know
was the quad cam V6, not this Vulcan
many
V6
people-
that's in the.
2.5.
probes.
Yeah.
This is
But
the pushrod V6 that was. I think it was the Vulcan V6 that was in like
Yeah.
Taurus.
Yeah.
The probe was essentially a Mazda MX-6
Yeah,
With a
built
different
flat
body.
rock.
So
flat rock, right?
To talk about the name for a second, what was that meeting like, and how did they keep it for so long?
Well, it was
I
a
think
concept car. It was a concept car that had a super low drag coefficient, so it would probe the air.
It's
That's a
a
stretch.
space.
I
It's
mean,
a space
it's a little
reference.
push.
It was a
Yeah,
space
it was
reference.
trying to be like space sagey or whatever.
Yeah, and the other thing is that there were no
I
women.
got it. Like satellite probes.
Right, not
Yeah.
alien kidnapping.
Sure.
Abduction.
women.
That's the word.
But of course, that's what they tried for, and they obviously failed.
And there were
All
no
right,
women.
Joe, you want to go next?
Sure. I picked a much newer example, and this is a name that mostly just makes me angry for many reasons. Okay. First of all, if you take a car's name as it's supposed to describe characteristics of the car, this car is neither economical nor sporty. It describes two things about the car that are not true. Second of all, yeah, they insisted on calling it EcoSport and not EcoSport, which who knows why.
Right, because it's EcoBoost, right? It's not Eco.
Yeah, and so then also it doesn't match with the EcoBoost brand, which is like, Ford's engine, turbocharged engines. And by the end of the car's run, 2022, you couldn't even get an EcoBoost engine in the car. It had a naturally aspirated 2-liter. So this is the final model year was only at one point it was available with a 1-liter EcoBoost, but it was an EcoSport, an EcoSport with an EcoBoost, and also that was a 1-liter. I think Pearley, you wrote a review of that car.
He did.
Yeah,
There's no H.
had Ecopia tires.
Dude, this is
Okay, so here's
0 to 60.
So it had Bridgestone Ecopias and an EcoSport without an EcoBoost.
Yeah. And it's not even very economical. Okay, so Pearley wrote the review of the 1-liter EcoBoost EcoSport.
That was the 3-cylinder, right? The 3-cylinder turbo.
3-cylinder, yeah. It was not quick. 10.4 seconds to 60. 24 miles per gallon observed. Not even very good fuel economy. I wrote a review of the 2-liter non-EcoBoost EcoSport. Also terrible. This was the all-wheel drive powertrain.
Joey, what's that? Joey, you've seen that website where
9.8 seconds to 60.
Joey, somebody
They added a whole other. They doubled the displacement, but still very slow.
Joey, you've seen that website where people Photoshop small wheels on cars. Have you seen that? That's what this thing is. The proportions are awful.
It's so horrible.
No,
It looks like it's lifted.
This one's got a black stripe. That's like maybe trying to distract from the proportions. But yeah, it's just like
That's got like Mitsubishi Delica stance.
Something's really off.
And the other thing is that this was the first. I believe this is the first car that was imported to the United States from India.
Yep. And that's why it ended production, is because they shut down the factory there.
Yeah.
But there's still a bunch of new ones for sale. It's pretty horrible. And it's so small. Like there's not even a lot of space inside. It's sad that they were able to even sell as many of these as they did.
Does it have a big handle across the dash?
What do you mean?
Like in front of the passenger?
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty bad. And these things are so cramped inside too. Like they're really, really narrow. It was just not a good car. And not a good name.
That's fair. That was a well argued presentation, Joey. Especially
there were just so many layers.
We got this like 8 seconds before we started recording.
There were so many layers of the name being bad. It's not descriptive. They had a stupid pronunciation, and it didn't sync up with the other eco branding that they had at the time. Just wrong on so many levels.
That's like a real opposite of my choices, which both seem to revolve around the idea of cars for perverts. And yours is like much more technical.
Yeah.
Probe and swinger and
okay, Casey.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we? Share screen. So this falls under the category of irony.
Uh-oh, another eco.
Well, but a Fisker Karma. The name did not do well for this car because, as we all know, for whatever reason, they were destined to fail. And karma, it didn't have any karma, that's for sure. Because
bad karma.
Yeah, bad karma. Yeah,
exactly. Bad
karma. They renamed it the Karma. What is it? The Karma Rivero.
Mm-hmm. But it's sort of a different company.
Are those things even real? I mean,
yeah, I know. It's a different company.
Really, it's also it's one of those cars that you just kind of go like, how it keeps coming back. You know, you just
like
think it's dead.
Did any of you guys ever drive one?
Yep.
Yeah, I've driven it.
Yeah,
it's
I
like
drove it too.
Pearley. It's like the Avanti. It's just, it's a design that just would never die.
Yeah, just never dies. You can't
What
kill
does that say? EVER?
Where?
Yes.
Ever?
Yeah, EVER.
Yeah, it's extended range. So this was a what is often referred to as like a series hybrid, where it had a GM. I think it was just a 2-liter. I can't remember if it was a turbo or if it was just a 2-liter attached to a
2-liter turbo from a Solstice.
Yeah, up front that was just attached to a generator, and then it was just electric motor. Then maybe 2 electric motors, I think, driving the rear. Yeah.
You could plug it in. You could plug it in, couldn't you?
Oh yeah. This was plug-in. Yep.
Yeah, those are plug-in.
Badging on the back. Go back. It's so horrible. EVER and Karma ES. Like,
So
I hate when
says,
badging.
it says Karma, ever Karmas.
Ever Karma.
Ever karma.
Ever karma. Nope, not ever. Never karma.
Never Karma.
But I'm guessing the ES is for the EcoSport, which
right.
It's ironic.
I like that interior though.
I mean, these are
eye-catching.
They look crazy down the road, and they're crazy low to the ground, and
that color combo reminds me of those super fancy hazelnut chocolates that are like
the Ferrero Rocher.
I know what you're talking about.
It's like a little chocolate cup with like caramel inside, and then there's a hazelnut.
A Rolo?
There's a generalized peanut butter cup vibe going on here.
Yeah. Wait, what's the candy? I want to know.
I don't. Here, I'll look it up while you guys are talking.
Oh, Toffee Fay. Toffee Fay.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I thought that was pretty much the fanciest candy.
I loved Toffee Fay when I was little. It was so good.
I've never had Toffee Fay
interior.
This was one of the first cars. I'm remembering this now. This was one of the first cars that had open pore wood grain. I remember.
What is that hand button?
Glove box. That is a glove.
That's like a glove, Joey. Yeah,
it looks like you're supposed to like smack it or something.
Easy now. You're clearly a swinger buyer.
Is that the original touchscreen, Casey?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just some aftermarket one they put in there, maybe.
Yeah, it was basically.
It is.
Yeah. No. That's it was aftermarket, but it still had some like native stuff in it. But I want to say, if I'm remembering correctly, it was basically go to like where it is like nav, and it would be like just like inset, into it. But
it's probably running like multiple types of software.
You gotta love it when they list the year in the date. But yeah,
we tested one. They weren't very quick. They weighed a lot. They were like 5,200 pounds, weren't they?
Yeah, they were pretty heavy. Yeah, because it had like I want to say it had something like a 30 kilowatt hour battery. It had a decently sized.
Wasn't there something?
It's interesting proportions. I mean, that nose is really long.
Oh yeah, and they are striking. They are striking on the road because they're super long, super low, super wide. And I mean, they have a back seat, you can see in the photos. It's a
C7 Corvette sedan, basically.
Yeah,
without any power.
Well, no, but I mean, just in terms of the design, Pearley, which is what we're talking about.
I was talking about whatever you talk about, whatever you want. I'm going to talk about what I want.
Anyway, Yep. I think it's a silly name.
Wait, but talk about how and why they failed. Didn't they all go catch fire or something?
No, they were. It was Hurricane Sandy, wasn't it? There were a bunch of them in port in waiting to clear customs, and Hurricane Sandy came through. They were in Jersey, and they all flooded, and they were all like total losses right at this point. And because they had transport insurance, but they weren't currently being transported, they were uninsured.
What?
Yeah, I think that's how the story goes. I could be completely.
No, I think you're right.
I could be completely full of the color of this interior right now, but I think that's what it was. Yeah, it was a
bad luck disaster. It was like a series of bad luck disasters, because we do have a interview with Heinrich Fisker from fairly recently, and he talks about how, it was like there were I think one or two like very high profile fires, but I mean, like that happens a lot with new cars, and so it wasn't
especially like new EVs and stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't that they were all catching on fire, but it was like that plus this disaster with their stock and like all the money and everything, and then it was just like they were toasted.
It was just over.
But it was like a huge number of cars. I mean, I don't know if it was 1,000 cars, but it was just a huge number of cars that were flooded, total losses, and and they weren't getting an insurance check for it. And that was like,
these were made in Finland, right?
I think so. I think because I think they were made in the same. That is, weren't they making Boxsters and
Valmet?
Yeah. So
a good fit and finish. Okay.
They were cool. They were cool. Bad name, I think, and also not greatly named considering what happened to him.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Are you guys ready to see the winner?
Yeah. You might win this time.
Let's see.
$30 million of lost cars at Hurricane Sandy.
Here's the Ford the EcoSport reminded me of the cars with tiny wheels. But here's my car, which is the winner.
Where did you cross that?
What's that, Casey?
Wait, go back. I'm sorry. I'm hung up on cars with little wheels. Where did you cross that?
Here it is.
The Reddit.
Okay.
Have you not seen this?
I have not seen this. I'm on board with it.
There's a bunch of them.
Eventually, the show is just going to turn into like, hey, what's everybody looking up about cars online today?
Well, the EcoSport reminded me of it. So anyway, this is the Pontiac LeMans, which Elana just got back from Le Mans a few weeks ago, and she can probably tell us that it has nothing to do with Le Mans. And nor does it have anything to do with the Le Mans that came before it. This was
there was a Le Mans in the 70s.
Yeah, 60s and 70s, which is what the Tempest.
Yeah. I mean, it was basically a GTO without the.
It's a GMA body.
But this was an Opel Kadett made in Korea years after the Opel Kadett was introduced. 76 horsepower. Not a very nice car.
I mean, it has a sort of Citroen looking wheels, so maybe that's where they got that.
But this replaced the T1000, the Chevrolet, or I'm sorry, the Chevette, the Pontiac version of the Chevette. And this is a terrible car.
Yes, it is.
Isn't it like a Daewoo?
Yeah, exactly. It was built by Daewoo, but Opel engineered, and then some
right.
Pontiac design stuff.
Well, interestingly, so was the T1000. It was also an Opel engineered. It was a Kadett. The Chevette started as an Opel Kadett.
Oh, that's true. That is true. But that one had more of an American influence than this.
Maybe a little bit more.
But anyway, here's the performance of it. 74 horsepower, excuse me. Top speed 100 in fourth gear. Casey, look at the braking number, 255 feet from 70. This is not a Le Mans performance. This is for the manual. This car is an automatic, which is presumably even slower since it's a 3-speed automatic.
It would be exciting to see it attempt. This year at Le Mans, the Garage 56 position, which is like an open position for an experimental car, was filled by NASCAR stock car. And initially, there were all these concerns, like they thought they were going to have to kind of like have a special flag to wave when where the NASCAR was on track, because they were so worried about like it being too slowed in the turns and the like prototypes hitting it. And it ended up being super fast, faster than all of the GT cars, and like really awesome. So it was kind of an American success at Le Mans this year. But this would have definitely been a rolling chicane.
This is the most un-Le Mans sort of vehicle you could imagine.
I think
I bet it would be great.
Contact this owner and lap this at Lightning Lap.
That'd
Oh my
be
God,
awesome.
it'd be a 4-minute car.
We should really try and like bring a car to Lightning Lap this year that's like the slowest car we could imagine, and just to give some context,
we did a Honda Fit one year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A while ago.
It's sort of like, if you just put like a regular person into a sports, and then you realize how hard it actually is.
So that's my car.
I mean,
Okay.
What's that?
So
Casey?
are we voting based on the worst name?
Just whatever you like.
Okay. Whatever. There are no rules anymore.
I mean, I feel like you should vote based on on sort of the shock factor when you saw the car and heard the name, like
The
how
disconnection. Yes.
Yeah, how much did it make you like tweak out?
All right. Pearley, you went first with the Studebaker Dictator. I'm going to give you a thumbs up. I think that's a good choice.
It's a really bad name.
It's a
a bad
terrible
name.
name, but it sort of matches the car.
Yeah.
things went differently. It might still be around.
Yeah.
Okay, Pearley, what's your what car struck your fancy?
Well, the one that I wish we had here was the Toyota BZ4X, or whatever they call that thing, that electric car, which has got the worst name in the history of names, but wasn't a used car. I like the Swinger because I like the car. It's one of those cars I always like, and I can't. And I think the name is, I'm old enough where I think the name's kind of cool.
That's what it is.
I don't know. I'm lost. Yeah, that's what it is, as far as you know. What was Casey's again?
So are you voting? What are you doing? Are you voting for the
Karma.
Swinger?
I had the Fisker Karma, and yeah.
Okay, that's your Karma. I can't do the Le Mans. I think it's dumb. I think I think I have to go with Swinger because it's a name I go for
Okay,
Swinger.
one vote for Swinger, which brings us to Elana with the Dart Swinger. Terrible name. Doesn't really match up with, well, it kind of matches up with the car.
I mean, sort of. I should have found like a tan example, like just like
Maybe there were fuzzy dice in the mirror.
like the least sexy dart I could find.
The Latin teacher had a tan one.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I am tempted to go with the Le Mans just because I'm still excited about having been there, but I'm going to give this one to Joey. I just feel like that was a really good presentation. I was there were solid points, and his rage about the name of the car was just palpable as he was talking about it.
I explained my rage with logic.
There was a thesis. Yeah, it was very well presented.
So the non-eco, non-sport is getting my vote.
Echo.
All right, one for the EcoSport, one for the Swinger.
Wait, Joey, are you sure it's not supposed to be Echo's Port? Would that make more sense?
You could really change it with the capitalization if you wanted to.
All right, Joey. EcoSport, thumbs up. I love cars with tiny wheels.
RIP to the EcoSport.
What's your favorite? What are you picking?
I think Le Mans is probably the most ironic, given the car and what the name suggests.
All right, so it's
car for endurance racing.
One for Swinger, one for Le Mans, and one for EcoSport, which brings us to Mr. Casey Colwell, who has a lot of power this week.
Two things. One, I quickly looked it up. It was 300 cars that they lost.
Wow.
But you got to remember all those cars were like over 100K when they were new. So it was a lot of money, but also A123 went bankrupt and they were their battery supplier. So there was not a lot of karma for that brand. Also Chevrolet.
It was just bad karma. It was still karma.
Chevrolet Citation.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
But that's the second citation.
Wait, are you just like last minute changing it, Casey?
No, I'm just like I
Go back and do it again.
I can't go back. I mean, that's my karma.
It's ironic because that's the second citation. There was also an Edsel citation.
Yeah.
All right. I gave Casey's car a sideways.
I'm gonna give you
I
a
think it's
thumbs up.
good.
It was a weird name. I remember thinking it was a weird name. Like it was like a kind of there's like a kind of hubris to naming your car karma.
Yeah, they should have known
Could have
better.
been the Vishnu.
Okay, Casey, what are you picking?
As much as I refuse to ever call it EcoSport because it's like there's no H, right? But as much as I hated that, I'm going with the Dart, the Swinger.
Okay, so I can just create a tie here.
You can.
Mm-hmm.
The integrity of Windows Shop has not
But,
changed.
okay, Pontiac LeMans, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, that's not the
Yeah.
problem with that name.
Why sideways, Pearly? That's a terrible name for that car.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
They were like trying to like get nostalgia on their side with that one.
and it was even really, to be fair, it was even a weird name for the Tempest, like back in the 60s.
Yeah, it was.
You know?
It was.
And-
It was a weird name.
Well, it's supposed to bring up European road racing like the GTO.
Yeah, I know. It makes sense with the marketing, but it was still not like exactly the name.
I mean, the Le Mans name lasted a long time. I think it was like 20, almost 30
Well,
years.
but here's a question. If any car company were to have a car called Le Mans, which one would be appropriate?
Ferrari.
Renault,
Porsche or
Porsche, yeah.
Peugeot.
Someone who's won Le Mans.
Yeah.
even Chevrolet. Like Chevrolet could have
Mazda?
a Corvette.
Not Pontiac.
Corvette Le Mans.
Le Mans edition.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you go
but
by
like, what
recent
is
results,
the
Toyota-
does GM still hold a copyright on that name?
yes.
I'm sure
I don't
they do.
know. There might
You
be.
remember Pontiac used to name all of its cars almost like by race venues. They had the Le Mans, the Bonneville, the Trans Am. They had all these cars. Firebird was named after a raceway. These are all kind of like named after racing venues. Catalina.
I'm looking up if there's still a copyright.
All right, and I'm definitely giving it to Elana Swinger. I think that is a messed up name for a car, and I want to see what the keys look like.
I mean, I'll hunt
So
them
you
down.
take another win. Your win-loss record is pretty
Yeah.
good. You
Impressive.
win a lot of these.
I spend a lot of time looking for cars. I thank you guys. I appreciate it. Makes me feel
I
good.
still think the Dictator should have won.
No,
The Dictator is the Dictator is a terrible name at a truly like horrific time period for
Yeah, the
that name, and
timing
the
is-
fact that they didn't change it like 4 years earlier is just a real weird move on Studebaker's part. And if they were still making cars today, I would cancel them.
When did the Chaplin film come out? Didn't he have a film called The Dictator?
1940.
Oh, it was later.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, like, to be fair, mainstream knowledge of what was happening in Germany and how bad it was not in the early 30s. It was a little bit later. But by 35, 36, by when that car was out, then we knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Italy too.
Yeah.
But I'll bet you the Dictator thinks it should have stayed the Dictator.
Good point.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll try to do this more regularly. If you can think of other messed up car names that don't match the car or are misleading or just funny, write them in the comments and like and subscribe. And we'll try to see you next week. Although we already tried to schedule one for next week and it was already very complicated. So we'll see you next week.
It was just weird. It was a season break.
Yeah. Well,
We've had a lot of
Hiatus. We're on hiatus.
everybody write into Hearst, tell them that this show, you love it, it makes you want to buy cars, and that they should definitely budget for more people on the car driver staff. Therefore, we'll have more time to spend looking at cars.
Or just get more road and track people. What are you talking about? You're trying to edge me out and have more car and driver people and edge me off.
You're freezing up early. There we go.
And he's muted now.
The sound was weird, Pearley. I didn't hear that. But great seeing everybody. Good weekend.
See you all later.
More people drive Dodge Darts than any other U.S.-built compact. It has room for 6. It's got a larger trunk. And now Dodge is offering the Dart Swinger, specially equipped with vinyl roof, deluxe wheel covers, and white walls. And Dodge is throwing in the automatic transmission free. Free automatic transmission. Swinger automatic. A bargain a lot of people are driving. Shouldn't you be one of them?